How's your sex life going? Good? Or do you feel more like roommates or disconnected? Let's look at some research and some methods that can help improve your sex life and your emotional connection to each other. Dr. Ted here, and welcome back to the channel. Today's topic: bettering your sexual intimacy and also increasing your emotional connection to each other. When we look at sexual intimacy, it can be very much connected to your overall satisfaction in the relationship. What I mean by that is, if you're not happy with the intimacy going on in the relationship, this can be an indicator that you're also not happy with the relationship in general. One study that looked at couples' satisfaction in the relationship found that 50 to 70% of the issues were connected to sexual intimacy distress, problems. Talking about sexual intimacy, talking about your sex life can be not easy to do. Asking for love, asking for care can be challenging. One piece of research found that only 26% of couples knew what the other person was interested in, knew their desires. What they attributed to the lack of more people knowing: lack of communication, lack of trust, fear, not having those solid emotional connections, those bonds. A strong attachment bond to your partner can better enable you to communicate your sexual desires, your needs. So really developing that bond can be a real beneficial thing to getting what you need. Parent-child attachments can help explain. John Bowley studied this. He looked at the connection between parents and their children growing up, their emotional bonds. And he found that those parents who really had a strong bond with their children, that connection, that knowing that they were there for their child, and the child had felt this, that mom and dad, they're not going to go away, they're not going to leave me. That really led to a real strong connection, that really strong emotional bond. So even, for example, if the parent left the room, the child was kind of feeling secure that the parent would come back and care for them. And when the parent did come back, the child didn't really kind of get upset, or they kind of knew that that parent was there. That parent was there to support them. Now, those parents who didn't have those strong bonds with their children, the child could be very much insecure, and when the parent did come back, could feel very anxious, kind of wondering what happened. Same thing goes for romantic relationships. Really having a strong bond can allow you to know that that person will be there for you. That person isn't going to leave. So, for example, if there is a fight or a conflict in the relationship, a good bond will allow people to know, okay, we had this kind of upset, this kind of conflict, but we can work through it. We can still go through this. We can still come out on top. We can still come together as a couple. So studies find that those relationships where one spouse is very much emotionally distant, those relationships can suffer from intimacy problems, emotional connection problems, and again, overall a satisfaction in the relationship. So good bonds, good communication allows couples to communicate their desires, their dislikes, their needs in their intimate life. So that leads to overall a very much more satisfying sex life and relationship in general. So how can we better increase these emotional bonds, these attachments to our partner? Let me outline a few tips that can really benefit your relationship, really benefit increasing the intimacy between the both of you. Number one, having a little reflection time, you could say. Going through, a good example would be going through the old pictures of times where you shared special moments together. Maybe the birth of a child, maybe a holiday, and kind of reflecting on those times and thinking, wow, those are pretty good times, and kind of outlining some of the emotions, some of the things that happened during those times that helped bring you together, that you shared as a couple. So look at some of the past and some of the happy times and really what brought you together as a couple, and celebrating that. Uninterrupted listening. In communication, we can like to talk and talk and talk and really not really listen to what the other person is saying. And we really need to stand back a little bit and kind of really absorb what they're saying. It's very important in relationships. So, an exercise, stand back, allow maybe 5 minutes, allow your partner to talk about their day, talk about what's ever on their mind, about the relationship, and you just kind of sit back and listen. And really affirming what they're saying with really positive body language by, shaking your head, kind of eye contact, really kind of being engaged in the moment. Allowing your partner to know that you are there. You are there. You're not somewhere else, but you're really there. And then switching back and forth. Again, having people kind of do this back, forth, and then maybe after 30 minutes or so, coming together and saying, wow, what were the new things that we learned here? Wow, what was the positive things? What were maybe the negative things? But really kind of sitting down and really listening to each other without kind of interrupting all the time, and really getting to know what the other person's thinking, what's on their mind. Very good for developing that connection, that better communication between people, because you start to appreciate what it is to be really listened to. Good qualities. What are the good qualities of your partner? We spend a lot of time maybe criticizing, maybe saying some negative things, but we can miss a lot of good things that they bring to the relationship. And if we don't hear enough of that, we can kind of feel, well, what's the point, right? Because I'm just hearing ongoing criticism, and that does not help establish a good bond between people if they're just in a pattern of putting down. So maybe writing down a list for your partner. I really appreciate this, I really appreciate that. And a list can be very helpful too, because it shows your partner that you've really taken the time to, wow, this person has really written down some stuff, that really put some thought into this. And that can encourage people to really come together and say, yeah, we have some ongoing disagreements, but wow, that really appreciates the things that I do here. So, okay. Projects together. What are you doing as a couple together? Something that can help you better come together. A lot of people will be, maybe he's over there on the computer table doing his stuff, and then she's over there doing something, and maybe talking with someone else or on social media, and people are kind of missing each other, right? They are kind of not connecting because they're not really coming together to do a project together. And this can be expanded to more than just a project, maybe simply just going for a walk together, where they're there together, they're sharing something together. Very important, because in relationships, as the years progress, people can become a little bit more distant, and we need to find ways to bring people together to kind of show the importance of this relationship. Not just you're over there, and we have our roles here, but what brings people together. So very highly important. In conclusion, having strong connections to each other, strong bonds. We need to be able to communicate what we need, and communicate in ways that we're not kind of put down. Communicate what we need, right? And kind of appreciating each other and appreciating the past and what we have together, not forgetting that. Because relationships over time can take on a real maybe negative tone, that becomes normalized in a way, a certain kind of negative interaction towards each other, and that doesn't bring people together. That kind of creates a lot of distance. And then you reflect one day, oh, I remember before in the past when we were together, we were really doing good. And again, that activity of when we're reviewing past pictures, past history, and remembering those really good moments, that can kind of bring people back a little bit and say, yeah, we were so good at one time, but now we're here. Wow, what has happened here? So, some tips to think about. As always, wishing you the best mental health wherever you are in the world. And until the next video, take care. Want more content on mental health? Have a look at this video.